Hello, everyone, and welcome to Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. I'm your host, retired NYPD Sergeant Bill Cannon, a 27-year veteran of the NYPD. First and foremost today, I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. And I know all of our friends across the pond, many of you don't celebrate Thanksgiving. This is an American holiday, but just in the spirit of Thanksgiving, which is giving and being with family and friends and good feelings, and it segues, if I don't know if that's the right word to use, into, of course, the Christmas holidays and the whole season of feeling loved and feeling good and being with friends and family. We applaud that. So even though you, my friends from across the pond, don't necessarily celebrate Thanksgiving, we from this the United States here give you all the good feelings and all the love that we feel on Thanksgiving and pass it on to our friends across the pond. This case that we will be covering today, Hana Kobayashi, really tragic that it happens this time of year. But there's so many questions we have and so many questions that have no answers to them right now because, of course, the police who are handling this case right now, who are investigating this case right now, are not releasing a lot of things. And there are many questions that myself and Professor Mike Geary have about this case. And we'll talk about them because we would think that both of us, being retired NYPD sergeants, are experts in missing person cases. And they are never easy. And they are never, oh, here's the answer. What it takes is a great deal of work, of canvassing, of interviewing people, of reviewing video from all over the city of Los Angeles right now. Most importantly, and I believe this, is to use the public to assist in this investigation. And that's one of the things I'm seeing partially, but not 100%. The LAPD, for whatever reason, is withholding some video that they have. And specifically what I'm referring to is video of the people that Hana was with on a couple of occasions, the people that she gave money to in her Venmo donations. They should know who they are by now because there's an electronic trail to that, all right? To give someone a Venmo, it has to go to a bank account somewhere, right? And that is trackable, that is traceable, and they should be able to find out who these people are. And once you find out who they are, guess what? Chances are they've had interactions with the police before. So then what is the next step? The next step is to release their photos to the public. And that way, instead of having hundreds of police officers that are working on this case, you have millions of civilians that will be your eyes and ears on the street and could get back to you and report back to you, we saw them, or we just saw her 10 minutes ago at this location. That is what they need right now. So I don't know why specifically they haven't released that video. Anyway, folks, hold on to your hats, hold on to your seats, hold on to your loved ones, hold on to your cider because it is Thanksgiving. You're about to enter true crime from a police perspective. You're about to enter the off-the-cuff zone, the POPO, the police off-the-cuff zone.
There has to be some common sense.
They were the ones who called 911 to get him help, and now they're calling for change.
And now, a word from our sponsor, Bet Online. This Thanksgiving holiday, why not head to the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting? Bet Online. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, Bet Online provides you with constant real-time odds in action, and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds in everything from football, NBA and college basketball, NHL to UFC and boxing, head to the website today to see why Bet Online is America's most trusted site for online wagering. Bet Online, the game starts here. Well, folks, joining me on this Thanksgiving Day, 11/28/2024, is none other than retired NYPD Sergeant, professor at Albertus Magnus College in Connecticut, attorney. Welcome to the show, Professor Mike Geary. Welcome, Mike.
Hey, Bill. Good morning. Actually, almost noon now. How are you? Happy Thanksgiving to you down in Florida. Welcome,
Well,
everyone.
thank you so much. He gave up my location. So now you guys know where I am. I'm in Florida. So I'm not dealing with the New York horrible weather today, rainy. I saw the Thanksgiving Day parade. It's pouring raining. Let's get right to the topic, Mike. I'm going to talk a little bit about, first of all, we'll discuss the timeline, right? So let me put a picture up on the screen because I think it helps everyone to look at this woman who is missing, Hannah Kobayashi. And here's a better shot right there. November 8th, the first sighting at LAX airport. Kobayashi landed from Maui at 9:53 p.m. local time, was seen on surveillance footage leaving the aircraft in a black hooded sweatshirt and tie-dye leggings. She missed her connecting flight to New York because of a tight 42-minute layover, her family said. I'm not convinced that's why she missed the flight. How tight is a 42-minute layover? November 9th, first sighting at the Grove. Kobayashi was sighted in the Grove shopping mall in downtown LA. She spent considerable time in Taschen Books and asked to charge her phone. She went to the bookstore and asked employees to charge her phone. So she charged her phone there for an hour and a half while she got food. This was according to her aunt, Larry Pigeon. On November 21st, appearing alongside Kobayashi's father, that was Larry Pigeon making that statement. She even filled out a mailing list with a Hawaiian address, and it's in her handwriting. November 10th, second sighting at the Grove. On Sunday, 2 days after she missed her connecting flight, Kobayashi returned to the Grove, where she was seen in the background of a video from Nike at a LeBron James event. She also posted a picture from the event on her Instagram page. November 11th, Kobayashi's aunt, Lori Pigeon, told USA Today that the strange and super strange and alarming texts began on Monday after the connecting flight was missed. We started getting texts saying she didn't feel safe, that someone was trying to steal her funds, that someone was trying to take her identity. Weird things, calling us babe, things that weren't quite the normal way that she speaks. We started getting texts saying that she didn't feel safe, that someone was trying to steal her funds, that someone was trying to take her identity. Kobayashi's last texts were also absent of emojis, which her family told Fox News on November 21st was very unusual. Hawaii News Now reported earlier on November 15th that one message sent to Kobayashi's friend read in part, "I got tricked pretty much into giving away all my funds." A second message said, "For someone I thought I loved." Kobayashi's sister, Sydney Kobayashi, told the news outlet the texts were really weird. "It's weird to me because it didn't sound like her, like there's just something off about it," she said. "So I wasn't too sure. I don't know if it's her or if it's someone else texting." Pigeon told USA Today on November 19th, Kobayashi was seen on Monday at LAX Airport talking to an American Airlines ticketing agent. It's been confirmed that she was trying to basically get a direct flight. She was sick of standby, Larry Pigeon told Fox News 2 days later on November 21st. Her phone last pinged from LAX Airport and has been turned off since. November 11th at Pico Metro Station. On November 17th, Kobayashi's family revealed they had seen surveillance footage of Kobayashi leaving the Pico Metro Station near LAX with an unidentified person at 10:03 on November 11th. This video has not yet been released to the public. Describing this sighting, Kobayashi's family said in a statement, "It is evident that Hannah does not appear to be in good condition, and she is not alone." Uh, November 12th, the Los Angeles Police Department launches a social media campaign asking anyone with information to come forward. November 14th, more text revealed. On Thursday, after the disappearance, that one message from Kobayashi's phone sent to her aunt in New York said, "I just finished a very intense spiritual awakening." Another text apologized for craziness, later adding, was definitely intercepted. On November 24th, Ryan Kobayashi, her dad, was found dead in a parking lot in LA. They confirmed that he took his own life. How absolutely tragic is this case? Mike, a lot to digest there.
Yes. Oh,
Your
yeah.
thoughts?
Yeah, Bill, she's an aspiring photographer. She's telling her family that she's going to go to LA and then continue on to New York. And she wants to have visit people there and visit exhibits and then maybe try to become a photographer in New York. She's flying from Maui to LAX, and on board is her former boyfriend. They had planned the trip to LAX and then on to New York a little while earlier. Everything was paid for. The tickets were paid for. The hotel, probably in New York, everything was already paid for. So she flies to LAX. He goes on. Apparently, when they got off the plane, he might have been in a totally different area. He takes off. He gets the connecting flight. She doesn't. There's really no explanation of why he could make the flight. Many other people made that direct flight on to New York, the ultimate destination, and she didn't. So it seems like she got sidetracked and decided, you know what, I don't feel like it right now. Maybe she made a choice. I'll do tomorrow, like a lark. I'm just going to take a little diversion here. And the problem is, it seems like what may have started out as a pleasant diversion for 24 hours just to, clear her head, have a little fun while she's in LA, because she doesn't have any appointments she has to be at in New York. And then may have turned into something a lot worse than she ever imagined. She may have gotten herself into a situation that she couldn't handle. Although it was initially voluntary, it doesn't seem like she's able to, correct her mistake and, get back to her friends and family. So everyone thinks she's in danger at this point.
Mike, I'm going to say something here that is obvious to police that have done this before. And it may upset some people, but I want to know, what is the mental state of mind of Hannah Kobayashi? And will that help to find her potentially? Because it seems that she obviously met up with the wrong people. But my question is, why? Why? Here she had this 42 window of opportunity to get on her flight, and for some reason she missed the connecting flight. I mean, to me, that says a lot. Was that done accidentally on purpose? Was it done on purpose? Was it an accident that she missed that connecting flight? Again,
Yeah.
What happened there? That's, to me, the biggest question. Now, the question is, of course, we need to find her. And there's two very good timestamps in here, and that is, or identification stamps, I should say. The money she sent via Venmo from her phone to two separate individuals. There's a way to identify them investigatively. Obviously, the money had to go to a bank account. To that bank account has to be registered to some name. From the name, the police can go on pictures of these people.
Yeah.
That's a start. Get those pictures out there. I don't know at this point why the LA police are being secretive with those pictures or the video that she was seen with these individuals. To me, that's the key. Get millions of people seeing these pictures, seeing this video, and get their eyes and ears out there. If you see something, say something. We say it a million times on this show.
Yeah, Bill, what started out as maybe a fun lark for 24 or 48 hours turned, I think, dark, because We know that she's Venmoing people money, and it appears one of them was a tarot card reader, and maybe that was for fun, just to have fun. But however, neither of the two people that the money was Venmoed to was known by her family, any member of her family. So these are people that she had not really any contact with prior to going to LA. She's going around to different sites in LA, and then she's seen, then you have the strange texts about stealing her identity, and she doesn't have any money. And then this thing that scares me the most and alarms me the most is that she is seen at the Pico station of the train, some sort of mass transit they have. Pico station is not in a good neighborhood. You don't want to be around that neighborhood when the sun goes down. She's a girl without resources. She's alone. And people who are criminals, they are hunters. They watch. And so she's in mortal danger at this point. And we hope that she'll be found, but she is definitely in mortal danger. Whatever started slowly degenerated over the course of like 72 hours into serious danger. And we need to know, and hopefully the family's being totally forthcoming about her state. Has she ever done this before? Has she ever just gone out on a lark and, done something very unpredictable? You really want to know that to try to figure out her possible behavior patterns. And has she been taking anything, any sort of medication? Because that's important too. If she's taking medication, does she have enough to last? And if she's out of it, what's going to happen? She is very vulnerable at this point, and I think she's in mortal danger.
Mike, in all these cases, whether it be a missing person or a homicide, many times the key to solving this is in the person's phone. Right now, her phone is off, so we don't know where her phone is. However, the technology exists to search the phone from afar and find out. I want to know what's in her phone. Did she correspond with any of these people before she reached LAX? Was there any communication? What's in her phone? Who was she texting? What was her state of mind? What is we talked about her mental state, how alcohol or drug use. What is that? That's important too. And vis-a-vis who she may be attracted to in LA, who she wound up being with. It sounds like the people that she's with right now obviously don't have her best interest in mind. They're predators. The text messages she sent clearly are not from her. They're from other people. Someone else had control of her phone. So most importantly is for the police to find her as quickly as possible. This is her father, Ryan Kobayashi. And tragically, he took his own life. And that's, this story isn't bad enough. The daughter missing, Hannah, and then her father takes his own life. Just absolutely outrageous. But it did happen.
The case of a missing Maui woman who vanished after landing at LAX. Her father has been found dead right near the airport. Loved ones say he took his own life. Fox 11's Haley Wizzo. She's live at LAX now with more tonight. Haley.
Marla, this is where things started to take a turn for the worse for Hannah Kobayashi when she missed her connecting flight on a quick layover, which then led to her disappearance in LA. Now, in a very disturbing turn, yesterday morning, about a mile away from here, her dad, who's been leading the search, took his own life.
It's almost too much for anyone to bear, but we're still here.
One tragedy on top of another. Ryan Kobayashi takes his own life after 2 weeks of exhausting the search for his missing daughter, Hannah.
He died of a broken heart. He broke. He mentally broke. And that's the thing. It's like, you don't know how you would react unless it was your daughter.
Right. Hannah's aunt, Laree Pigeon, says they are fully confident she is alive in LA, but not safe.
What makes you believe she's in extreme danger?
The family has fears of her being sex trafficked and being held against her will.
Without disclosing details that could jeopardize the case, Pigeon says people have most recently spotted the 30-year-old Maui woman around Metro's Union Station and, quote, It didn't look good. Before suddenly vanishing, Kobayashi was seen on video exploring the Grove, Crypto.com Arena, and back at LAX on November 11th, trying to rebook the connecting flight she missed 3 days earlier. Then her phone went dead. Described as a responsible, level-headed woman who sticks to her plans, last week, family and friends shared with us her final strange text messages they say sound nothing like her. Deep hackers wiped my identity, stole all my funds. And I'm just really scared, love, and the redwoods if calling me. I risk my freedom if this goes wrong for me, hun. The day after Hannah disappeared, her dad got on a plane, and Pigeon says was doing everything in his power to find her until he just couldn't take it anymore.
Mental illness is a thing. Sleep deprivation is a thing. Suicide is a thing. He never talked about himself. He never said if he was okay or not. It's almost like Hannah, if you met him, you just don't forget him. Yes, he was estranged from his daughter, but I would say it was more distant, and that guilt ate away at him as well. But he showed up when it mattered.
LAPD and the FBI, of course, have been on this case for the 2.5 weeks since she went missing. And more than donations to the GoFundMe, her family says they are in desperate need of more people volunteering their time to share her photo and her story in hopes of her coming home safe and sound soon. Now, if you or a loved one are feeling distressed, you can, of course, call the National Suicide Hotline. You can call or text them at 988 or go to 988lifeline.org.
So it can't get much worse than that, Mike. Here she is missing, and her dad goes to LA from Hawaii to search for her and then takes his own life, compounding the missing person of Hannah. Her dad takes his own life. I don't think you can make this up, Mike. Any worse, a story that's any worse than this.
Yeah, Bill, I was looking at the chat, and and my first reaction too is I was a little cynical that, why would he take his own life if he's there on a mission to find his daughter? And I respect people's opinions in the chat, because I felt the same way originally, that maybe there's some sort of web of conspiracy that whoever had her would off the father, unalive the father. But I've kind of thought that through, and I don't think so. I think he actually did take his own life, sadly, maybe from being overwhelmed, as you saw on the video. A lot of no sleep, stressed out to the max, and he had a broken heart, and I think he unalived himself. I don't think that the people that his daughter may be with were looking specifically to try to hurt anyone trying to rescue her at all. I don't think that's the case. That would make a great conspiracy story, but I don't think so. I think he actually took his own life. And the sad part about it is he was the point man for the family. He left Maui to come to California. And I think she has an aunt who's living in maybe up farther north in California. But he was the person on the ground interacting probably with the LAPD and trying to provide as much help as he possibly could. And that's the sad part, because he would be a source of information probably for the police, to the detectives, to try to figure out where she might go, what she might do. And the sad part of this is now you've lost that ability to have that person helping out on the ground, because he is, boots on the ground helping out. And that's the saddest part of the story too, in addition to what's gone on. It's just made everything 10 times worse for the family and for the chance of finding Hannah.
Mike, let's talk about what we know best, and that's the police investigation. Now, the way this works is usually a police investigation of a missing person takes place in the precinct of the missing person's residence. But the fact that there's confirmation that she made it to LA and she was on a flight, she was in the airport, she's seen numerous times, the lead agency will be the Los Angeles police. However, that doesn't mean the Hawaiian police do not assist. They have to find out the background, everything about the background of Hannah Kobayashi through the boots on the ground investigation right in Hawaii, which is almost like a homicide investigation. We're talking about a victimology, the study of the victim. We want to find out everything we can possibly find out about Hana Kobayashi. And I said earlier before, and I'm probably the first person that I've seen, because I've listened to some other channels, suggest there's a mental illness component in here and possibly an alcohol or drug component. And I'm sorry if I'm offending people, but I'm a realist. I'm the real popo, and this is what we must think of, because that has many areas that could lead to finding Hana. Obviously, if she's got an alcohol or a drug problem, who's she going to be hanging out with? She's going to be hanging out with other people that'll feed that habit. They'll feed that addiction. So will that give the police a place, a ground zero to search, to go looking for? The other thing is, we used to love this expression in the NYPD. We got to shake the tree. And what does that mean? We go to areas where she most likely could be, and we start busting chops. We start making arrests. We start making narcotics arrests. We start making loitering arrests. We start making arrests for open containers. And guess what? Some of those people may have seen Hana or have information on where she is. Canvassing of the area, of course, that downtown area, the area near the airport, the area near the metro stations. Why is she hanging there? There's another point. Why? Well, she's in with some people that are not the best people on this earth, right? We want to get, of course, still photos of the people, not just her. That's, of course, this is out there. It's been out there since the 12th. These photos have been out there. But we want photos of the people, and I don't know why they haven't done this yet, of the people that she was seen with. That's how we're going to find her, because people out there know who they are. The other thing, technology, video cameras, cell phones. Her cell phone could be the key to this, even though they know now it's been turned off. As we previously mentioned, those 2 Venmo transfers. Find out exactly who those people are, and that may lead you right to Hana. And I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm sure the LA police detectives know all the things that I'm saying right now. I'm just letting you guys know that. The tips line, so important. If you see something, say something. Get that number prominently out there so people know who to call, what to call, when to call. If they see it, if they see something, say something. If they see someone that looks like her, call that hotline. Give that tip. You may save her life, and that's the key to this. Again, I mentioned the arrest debriefings. People that are arrested, talk to them. They're the people that are on the street. They're the people that are going to see things like this. They're the boots on the ground. And we utilize them for information, because someone may trade a low-level arrest, the freedom from a low-level arrest, for information. Believe that's how the police work. And I'm very much concerned with the mental state of mind of Hana Kobayashi. Mike.
Yeah, Billy, you think about how quickly this unfolded for her in a bad way. She lands on the 8th, and within 72 hours, it looks like she's in trouble. And I'm thinking, as you're talking about like all the investigative tools you could use, I want the Maui Police Department to go to her laptop, because you can maybe, if she has a laptop, you can get that. And I'm thinking perhaps she has, even though she was going to fly from Maui to LA and then on to New York, she may, and I would be thinking she may have communicated with people in the past, maybe the past couple of weeks, the past couple of months, that may have invited her, hey, if you're going to land in LA, look us up. Because she did make a text about being disappointed in people that she thought loved her. Now, love is a really strong word to use. Did she run into a couple of people for the first 48 hours who she thought really loved them? Or had she developed a relationship while she was in Maui with people in LA, maybe people who were like-minded photographers or artists or something like that? And they said, come to LA, stop by and see us in LA, and before you go to New York. So I'm thinking there may be some information on the laptop, because now we don't have the phone, but is there anything we can get off that laptop to indicate any sort of pre-existing mutually friendly relationship with anybody in LA? And so if we could establish a timeline, if it's there, establish a timeline of a relationship and try to figure out who that person is too. You're right. You got to beat the bushes, shake the trees. You got to, basically have people on the ground, working this case, because in these cases, many missing persons cases turn into cold case homicides later on, homicide investigations. So you don't want that to happen. So time is always of the essence. And you've got a young girl who's on her own, and she's in LA. There's no support for her. And she's seen in some very suspicious circumstances late at night, escorted by someone, and I do agree with you. It would really be beneficial if the LAPD would take a still picture, the best picture they have, and plaster it all over the place. She might not even be in LA anymore. She could be in Arizona. She could be anywhere on the West Coast. So time is always of the essence in these cases.
100%. Santa Elise Hoth Johnson, thank you for the NOK 1919 super sticker. Very much appreciated. All you folks that are in the chat, thank you so much for tuning in on Thanksgiving Day. It's a thrill for us to be on the air on this day, believe it or not, because I don't like to lose a day, even though it's a holiday. And Mike felt the same way. Claudia Lenza-Stoffer, thank you for the £2 super sticker. Why send a message on her phone? Well, Claudia, that is something that we find suspicious. Other people were sending messages on her phone. Perhaps she was incapacitated in some way. And I said, vis-a-vis alcohol or drugs. I have to be realistic. I know some people will get upset about that, but this is real world stuff, and Claudia Lenza-Stoffer, again, gifted 5 police off the cuff memberships. Claudia, thank you so much for your generosity. It's very, very, very much appreciated. Miss T, CA, thank you for the $13.99 super sticker. This is reminding me of Elisa Lamb. Well, thank you again for your generosity. Very much appreciated. Folks, this is Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. If you like real crime, true crime from a police perspective, you're in the right place. And if you're not subscribed to us, go on our YouTube, hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, ring that bell, hit the like button, share us with your friends and your family. And if you want to contribute to us financially, we have a Patreon with 4 different levels. We also have a YouTube channel membership, which you just saw Claudia Lenza-Stoffer gift 5 memberships to. We have 5 different levels of YouTube channel memberships, and we appreciate all you guys who support this channel and make it possible to do the shows that we do not every day, as often as possible. And I want to, again, wish everyone a happy, healthy Thanksgiving. And there's a little Police Off the Cuff sort of Yuletide wreath right there you're seeing up on the screen. And we appreciate all you guys. So, folks, it's so important, again, to keep this case alive, to keep the police out there pounding the pavement, going out there, talking to people. When we talk about canvassing, what does that mean? Canvassing means go out there with some flyers. Go out there with, what I would do right here is have these 3 pictures on a flyer. Help the police help you. Help us find Hana Kobayashi. Help us find her. This is what she looks like. Have you seen her? Litter the community, train stations, the LAX airport, homeless shelters, parts of the city that, a lot of people hang out, perhaps alcohol and drug addicted people, because those are the people that are out on the street that hear, see things. So we have to be boots on the ground. And I know, we all know the frustrating thing about this when we deal with missing persons. The police know things that we don't know right now. We wish they would share them with us, because I believe the secret part of this, there's no point in being secret. The danger, she's in danger right now. Get those pictures out there. Use millions of people to be your eyes and ears, but don't be secretive. We watched them be secretive in the Gilgo Beach case for years and years and years, and you saw the results they got. They got none. until they started being out there and sharing everything. Took 3 months to identify the killer. And I'm not saying this case is, but investigations are like this. Use the public to help you. Mike.
Yeah, Billy, eyes and ears, because you only have so many, special victims detectives going out there looking for her. So concentrate on, be smart, be tactical, like you do in Manhattan North. Go to the locations where she was last seen, that train station, get that surveillance video, go over it. If you can see that person that was with her, if you get a clear picture, make that public. And if you could see that picture of a similar image of that person on another date and another time, maybe with someone else, or you could see where, if they've been coming and going from the Pico station, that's their neighborhood. That's their neighborhood station. So flood that area with posters and try to identify that person. That's to me, it's not much, but it's a slim bit of hope that if you could ID that person, that will lead you to an ID. You get that ID. If you can find that person, if they're living on the street, as you said before, they're not living all over LA. They're only living in certain parts of LA. And so hunt that person down in those parts of LA. But you're right. There's no need to be secretive about anything. You have to get the cops out there, and people want to help. People would love to help. That family is in huge distress, and time is of the essence. So anything short of that, to me, it seems oddly inexcusable why they wouldn't do it. But be tactical and do it quick. And if because she is in mortal danger, and we don't even know where she is. We have no clue. That phone, they can't track her phone anymore because the phone is off. If it was on, that would be great, because that's an electronic breadcrumb. But you don't have that at this point. So it's old-fashioned policing, before the electronic age. Just go out there and do the best you can. But in any kind of kidnapping case, or any kind of, case involving children or adults like this, time is absolutely of the essence. Because if this person is in mortal danger, as we feel she is, then you have to find them sooner than later, because you don't know how much time really is left for her.
100%. And something, Mike, the other thing is that the police, the active police that are out on the street 24/7, boots on the ground, narcotics detectives, homicide detectives, patrol officers are the most important, because they're out there 24/7, 365. Now, it's not like when we were on the job, they had to physically give you a Polaroid picture.
Right.
Now they just disseminate it immediately to their phone. And the officers have a digital copy of that photo right on their phone. Same thing with the people she was with. They can disseminate it immediately to the patrol force. They get out there. They know who they're looking for. They may even have the names or the nicknames of the people in the Venmo. They may have the names they absolutely have the pictures of the people she was with. The officers may know these people. That can lead right to them, right? And if they find these people and she's not with them, they can drag their asses in there and get information from them. That's what investigation is all about. This was an earlier clip from News Nation.
Missing from Hawaii has not been seen or heard from in nearly 2 weeks. Hannah Kobayashi's family says she was on her way to New York, but missed her connecting flight at LAX on November 8th. Since then, her family has received what they call troubling texts from Hannah, but now nothing. So adding to the mystery, police tell her family the 31-year-old has been spotted on surveillance video in downtown LA and was last seen at the metro stop about a block from where the Lakers play with an unidentified person. So that's where News Nation's Nancy Liu joins us live. Nancy, her family is really centering their search for Hannah around that arena.
That's right, Nicole. And her family tells me even more relatives have arrived in LA, and a rally is planned for this afternoon outside crypto.com arena. And I want to show you that is just steps away from the metro station where Hannah was seen on surveillance over a week ago now. And according to her aunt, who saw the unreleased footage footage from this area. Hannah is not alone in the video. She does not look well, and she's in the same clothing she was wearing when she arrived at LAX from Maui on November 8th. Earlier sightings have been at the Grove Shopping Center, where Hannah last posted to Instagram from a Nike event on November 10th. In a video obtained by the family, Hannah is seen strolling through the event that day, wearing headphones, and relatives especially concerned over those text messages you just saw from Hannah's phone on November 11th. One stating, "I got hacked, stripped of my identity, I can't fly," and another saying, "I got tricked pretty much into giving away all my funds for someone I thought I loved. I've been on the streets." According to Hannah's aunt, the wording in the text is suspicious, and the phone has been off since November 11th. Now they're just fighting, fearing the worst.
Time is of the essence, and it's dwindling. So we are terrified. We're thinking, now we're thinking of things like, was she abducted? The word, and I hate to say it, but the word trafficked.
And back here live, you can see some of the posters and flyers that are just plastered throughout this area. And adding to the mystery here, this metro line, it does not go to LAX. You have to make a connection to another line in order to get out there. And that just leaves family to wonder why she was in this area. Did someone bring her here? Nicole?
So Nancy, what are police saying?
Well, I just saw some detectives here a short time ago, and they formally got this case on November 12th when the family filed the missing person report, and they confirm an investigation is underway. But the surveillance video from this area, it's not been released. They're out here trying to look for more surveillance, and there's no hard evidence of a crime or foul play at this point. So the family feels it's not a priority since Hannah is young, appears to have left LAX on her own accord to explore the city after missing that connection to New York. Now, the family rally later outside crypto.com arena. This is going to happen before the Lakers game tonight. So they're desperately hoping for new leads with heightened awareness, but they're just desperate to find Hannah.
Yeah, hopefully they will find her. All right, Nancy.
So this was a dated report, but a lot of great information in there. It's thank you for the $6.99 super sticker. I think her mental health, possible addictions, medications is the key to understanding. Miss T, I 100% agree with you. This has drugs written all over it, in my opinion. And I hesitate to say that, but I'm trying to be realistic. And that will surely help the police get to the right people that may be holding her or maybe entertaining this type of addiction or bad behavior, because she is surely in danger right now. I don't think there's any doubt about that, Mike.
No doubt. And I was looking at the chat, and Optimistic Maya, I'm on 100% on board with you. Whatever she did voluntarily, in LA, we don't know why she would, miss the flight. Or if you missed the flight that day, why would you then, instead of trying to get a later flight that evening, because there's plenty of flights going back and forth from LA to New York, why would you actually leave the airport and decide, I'll come back in a day or two? That didn't seem to make much sense. That wouldn't be a really good plan. Yeah, 100%. I agree with Optimistic Maya. She is in way over her head, and there's nothing here that spells out anything else to me other than she's in trouble. It's not like she decided, well, I'm going to go to LA. I was going to go to New York. I spent all that money on the ticket, but I'm going to stay near LA. And you know what? I'm just going to lark, and I'm going to take a drive up, the Pacific Coast Highway. I'm just going to explore my mind somewhere. No, you would have heard from her. She would have text messaged somebody saying, having a great time up here in Big Sur, watching the surf. No, that's not what's happening. we hope she's still alive. We hope that she's not in danger. But at this point, day after day after day goes on without any sort of sighting of her, without any sort of communication from her. And probably there's been no activity on a debit card or a credit card at all at this point. Hope grows dim at this point.
From the chat, Twisted Isabel, I also have that question. Why leave the airport? Great question. Exactly. If you missed your flight and the whole point would be to schedule another one as quickly as possible, why would you leave the airport and walk around LA like it was your second home? Meet up with people. That my thoughts is that she corresponded with some of these people before she got to LA. And that's why her phone could be a treasure trove of information. Carol Grayston, thank you so much for your generosity. Carol just gifted 5 police off-the-cuff memberships. Thank you so much, Carol. You've been very, 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 very generous. Thank you so much. Angie, I wonder how much money she had for this to happen. Was she a mule, in my opinion? I'm not sensing that. What I'm sensing is that she had, I think she's got some maybe mental health issues, perhaps some alcohol or drug issues. And I think she met up with the wrong people. And right now, someone said, London Bobby, dog knows her, said she is a light marijuana. Come on, I don't buy anything dog says. She's a light marijuana. Come on, stop.
No.
We're the real police, and I know some dog is sort of, to me, a cartoon character, but he's popular out there. So, but, I'm not, this has a lot of things written all over it without knowing her. She did, if the whole report of this, it doesn't make sense, her actions. All right. Her actions are the actions of someone who is either mentally ill or B, has an alcohol or drug problem. Because like someone in the chat said, why did she even leave the airport? Great question, right? You missed your flight. The other question that people had, her boyfriend, her ex-boyfriend, was on the same flight. Apparently, he's cooperating with police and he's been interviewed, and they don't consider him a suspect in any nefarious activity here. Apparently, when they were together, they booked this trip to go to New York together. But being that they're not together anymore, he still decided to go on it. I mean, that sounds a little bizarre. But people have suggested he potentially could be suspect in this case. And right now, we're being told that he's not. Vivian James, I think she got scammed, was in contact with someone through Instagram or something and set up a shoot in LA. They got her to take drugs and took her money. Vivian, that's very, very possible. One of the things also people are asking the question about, missing person cases are very fraught with decisions on to take the case or to not take the case. And the reason is that if you're 18 years of age or older, you are free to go about your life and you can disappear from your family and friends for weeks or months at a time. And unless there's some other evidence, some foul play, some unaccountable disappearance, an indication of committing suicide or that you could have died, most police jurisdictions are not just going to take the case as a missing person. In fact, I told you the receptor for missing person cases are the police agency that covers the residence of the missing person. So I'm sure early on in this case, LA referred it right back to Hawaii. And then when evidence existed, Hawaii said, yeah, our family is legit and they're giving us all this information. Could you check this, and this? And as the LA police started to check it, and then the family started receiving these sort of nefarious text messages, I think the LA police then took it seriously and took a missing person case on this. Mike.
Yeah, Billy, you're right. The residents, police department is the one that originates the case. You know, because of she flew to LA, there was a treasure trove of information there. But you're right. In the beginning, if you're a police detective, and you hear of a 31-year-old lady who's going to go from Maui to LA and then on to New York City, and she hasn't been heard from for a couple of days, you're like, okay, she's a grown adult. You know, is she, she's not an elderly person suffering from some sort of dementia. She's not a young person, maybe mentally handicapped or mentally retarded young child who's gotten lost. She's not, she's just not on medication that she needs to take every couple of hours or she'll die. You know, she's not a special category person. And as tough it is for the family and everybody else to kind of understand, there still is not actually any objective, hardcore indications that she is the victim of a crime. Like there's no video of her being assaulted or dragged off somewhere. Although to me, I do agree she is an absolute danger at this point, but that's because of the circumstances that we see, not that we feel, and from our police experience, but not from something that we can objectively say on that video, this is what we saw. So it's really difficult for people, and I think the family, Kobayashi family, is a little bit upset with the LAPD in the very beginning that they didn't seem to be taking it seriously. But like as you said, they probably looked at this report, referred it to Maui, and then Maui got back to them and said, no, this is actually legit. We do, in fact, need your help. And then, LAPD and LA County sheriffs would step in. But these are very difficult because a lot of people do sometimes just deviate and frolic. One day they just don't want to show up at work. They want to do something different. They just want to get away. I'm not saying this is that case, but there are many cases like that. And police resources are precious, and you can't always go after every single person who's reported missing. It's got to fit a particular pattern, a particular category. But they are working in conjunction with Maui PD. And I'm sure at this point, they've got a number of officers, number of detectives looking for her. But, it's very difficult to try to get to try to figure out if a young person who's missing is actually now the victim of a crime, or are they just doing their prerogative and going off on their own. And that's what makes it difficult for families like hers very often to understand why the police are doing what they're doing, when they're doing it.
Mike, that's so true. But getting back to the whole definition of a missing person is that if the police didn't have criteria in the taking of missing person reports, they would do nothing else. Because people report people missing, and then 10 minutes later, an hour later, a day later, 2 days later, oh, they turned up, they went here, they didn't tell us. But you can't, this is very serious. So I would imagine the LAPD has their whole department raised up about this case. Everyone's looking for her. And it does take a tremendous amount of resources, manpower, and of course, she's a human being. She's in trouble. We should assign all the resources possible. But I'm just thinking there is an alcohol, drug, or mental health component to this. In fact, I'm almost positive that no one's talking about. And I think that we need to talk about that because, everyone's right away jumping right to she's being human trafficked. All of that's possible. Could that have happened? Yes, but we have to look at the logical too. That's why it's so important to know who Hana Kobayashi is, to do an in-depth victimology. Let's see who she is. In-depth interview of her boyfriend, in-depth interview of her family, of her friends. And of course, the treasure trove that we're all looking for is the contents of her cell phone. That will give us answers. Someone mentioned something before, and I think what they were referring to was when they geofencing.
Right.
And that is a technology where the police can search an area at a specific time, and it pulls up every single electronic device that's in use at that time. But because she went missing from this airport, that would be the amount of electronic devices being used in that specific area, that specific time, would be very difficult, I believe, to identify what they're looking for in this case. In addition, doing that, of course, takes a lot of resources, and they may still do that. But right now, again, the phone's been shut off. We don't know where she is. We don't know her cell phone. I think the number one thing that they should do right now is to get the photos out of the people she was with. That could really move this investigation ahead. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Billy, geofencing is great. And as you say, going to LA is one thing, but remember, we do know she was alive at least 72 hours after she missed her flight. So you have to now figure out, okay, geofencing from what location now? Location near the Pico station, because you got to figure out what particular area. As you say, it's going to take a long time, a lot of resources. You got to be tactical as you possibly can be. So you try to figure out what was the last time her phone was actually in use and on. And at that point, if you can figure that out, okay, do a geofencing operation there. But that takes a while. It's not something like you see on television. As we always watch TV. It's done, by the next commercial break in a TV show. And then from that point on, you work ahead. But with that phone off, and she doesn't have her laptop or anything like that, that makes it difficult, because now you're back to the old-fashioned boots on the ground, and you're working, trying to find her. Luckily, she's tall and beautiful, statuesque, with long hair. So she's not like, say, 5'5" with, say, brown hair, that sort of thing. She would stand out in a crowd. So that is one thing on in the police advantage, because if she's out on the street, you may be able to spot her. But other than that, it's the old-fashioned way of doing things, and that's and at this point, that's where police are stuck. They have to do it that way, and it's already been like 2 weeks, so it's going to be difficult to get a promising resolution to this case.
Rem, now that's what we just did. You just used different terminology. Why don't you guys mention Stingray and that technology on knowing where her phone was pinging, and who else was pinging around her the entire time her phone. What we refer to that as geofencing, and you just used a different term. But thank you for your comments. That's very important, and you're right. They could do that. Karen Weiss from the chat, the spiritual awakening comment is very frightening, in my opinion. Who did she meet? Karen, you're 100% correct. That does scare me also. Twisted Isabel from the chat. So they are probably waiting on the phone records now. Dippity dog. Yeah. Yes, I think they're, we all want immediate results. And as on TV, you get immediate results. But in reality, these things take time. And because you say, voila, get me the phone records. They don't just come back like, you rub an Aladdin's lamp, like you rub a genie, and the genie comes out and says, oh, here are the phone records. Here are the text messages. Here are the cell sites of where the phone pinged. No, all of that takes a while. And it's also subject to a search warrant. So they have to go to a judge to present this information to the judge and to get a search warrant to search her phone. Optimistic Maya, I don't understand why the police aren't releasing video of the person she was seen with on transit in LA. The family has seen the footage, but not the public. Surely that person is a suspect. Optimistic Maya, you're preaching to the choir, as they say. That was one of the first things we suggested. That should be released. Why they're not releasing it, I do not know right now. PQ, I think she did mushrooms or something. That's when she was the most vulnerable, and that's probably why she was texting unlike herself. Look, PQ, I think there is an alcohol and or drug and or mental illness component to this, and that's why we're even more afraid of something bad happening to her. And we're concerned. That's why time is of the essence. seeing something, saying something, getting out there, hitting the boots on the ground, locking up people on the street people, debriefing those street people, getting her picture up in all police facilities that have interrogation rooms so that people that are arrested are being interrogated can say, oh, I saw her yesterday at such and such a location. Believe it, it happens. It happens. And that's how police solve cases. So that's what we're looking for. Part of the investigation. Rem now, again, optimistic. My only reason that makes sense is one of a few things. Number one, they already know exactly who it is. Or number two, they're bluffing and it isn't viable to renew. I'm just going through the chat. Sarah Adams, naive, I sense secrets, I sense. Sarah Adams, I think there are secrets that that Hannah absolutely has, that absolutely may be in her phone. There are some secrets she's keeping because it doesn't make any sense that she missed the flight connection and then she just disappears. She leaves LAX. Why? Why would you do that? I know that if I missed a connecting flight, I'm not leaving that damn airport. First of all, just getting in and out of LAX is a nightmare if you've ever been there. Probably one of the most difficult. I'm probably going to offend someone from LA, but I don't care. Probably one of the most difficult airports to get in and out of. Like the traffic there is like, it makes Kennedy and LaGuardia look like fun, And so why would you ever leave the airport once you're there? You missed your connection? Okay. Oh, there's not one till tomorrow morning. I'm going to sleep on a chair in the airport. I'm not leaving, because once you leave, now you have all that other drama trying to get back there, So yeah, all of these things are questions that we have. Mary's was a riveter. Have they questioned the ex-boyfriend that was on the flight to see if he knows why she stayed behind? Mary was a riveter. Yes, they absolutely have. And he's cooperative according to police. And he's also not a suspect according to police. So all of these things all of these great suggestions you guys from the chat have suggested. Yeah, it's all tremendously important. Heather, whatever. Except for the Grove, she went to the most dangerous places in LA. And Heather, what does that say to you? What it says to me, she's hanging out with other drug users. And I'm sorry, I'm not buying that she's a casual marijuana user. And I said right away in this case, there's a connection to alcohol, drugs, and mental health here. It's screaming it to us. But that doesn't make us want to solve this case or find her any less. That means that we want to find her more because she's in danger. She's hanging out, with some dangerous people. Mike.
Yeah, Billy, there's nothing here that, as you say, from the time she landed, everybody else probably on that plane made it to the connecting flight to New York City. Her boyfriend was probably walking ahead of her. It was very strange because even though they'd broken up, they continued to travel together. So he went ahead. Maybe she said, I'll catch up to you in a few minutes. 45 minutes, say you've been in, say, in O'Hare or a place like that, or I was in Atlanta a couple of days ago. Those are huge airports. So 45 minutes, you actually have to move, you got to make sure you know where you're going. He made it. Many other people made it. She didn't make it. From that point on, nothing seems logical. Nothing seems really well planned out or pre-planned. Maybe she knew some people in LA that she had previously connected with. That would be great if it was on her laptop. Maybe you could figure out who they are. But a lot of it seems to be ad-libbed, not really well thought out. We don't know what hotel she stayed at. She indicated that for those 3 days, she indicated that she was out on the street. That's not good. These are not good decisions being made by someone who has all their wits about them. And so to take that is a sign that something is going on in between her ears, that she's not really thinking well for her own self, her own safety. And she may have been desperate enough to get in with a group of people who she thought may have were going to help her. And maybe they've taken advantage of her. but nothing seems pre-planned and logic, as if she was kind of thinking clearly. And that scares me, because from that moment that she landed and didn't make that flight, everything seemed to go downhill really quick.
Absolutely. Sarah Adams from the chat. I don't think she ever planned to go to New York City. I think Cali was her destination, whether
Maybe.
she told someone or not. SD from the chat. She was seen on CCTV at Pico Station looking incoherent and unwell, walking with an unknown male. Yeah, all of those things concern us, concern her family, and again, bring us into the concern of alcohol, drug abuse, and again, mental illness. Something is really off. Do we jump into that? Oh, she was human trafficked. Look. Could that happen? Yeah, but she's 31 years old. All right, she should have the sense again of not dealing with people like this. But what makes you lose your sense? Mental health issues, alcohol, or drugs. And she's clearly with some people that she shouldn't be with. Leo from the chat. Hawaiian life is calm. We practice humility and we ohana. We don't operate the way mainland mentality does. Have some grace and practice. Aloha during this case. Mahalo. Leo, I'm NYPD and I deal in reality, all right? And I deal with the worst of human interactions. Therefore, I don't have time to do a feel-good report on this. You know, I'm dealing from reality. I'm dealing from 27 years of NYPD experience, 10 in homicide, 16 in the detective bureau, 22 as a sergeant. All right. So thank you for your suggestion, but I will not take it. I'm dealing from a police perspective. Mike.
Yeah, Billy, if she's grew up in a small neighborhood in Maui, and maybe she grew up in an area where everybody kind of trusted each other, everybody kind of knew each other. Maybe the families were in a very stable neighborhood for several generations. But going to LA, that's a whole different world. That's like traveling from here to, say, culturally, that might be like traveling from New York to Sweden, where you don't know how the languages are, you don't know the culture, you don't know the people. Maybe things are very strange. You've never been there before. And so you're out of your element. And so she is definitely out of her element, and whatever trusting instincts she may have had, because that's how she grew up, they're actually her biggest weakness. If that's what happened, that they are her biggest weakness, because she is totally out of her element. She's totally out of her game. And so that makes it difficult. And, we are cynical. Me and Bill are cynical because we don't see happy endings, where, and the best we could hope for is she's found on the street somewhere, and that she's, she reaches out for help. But, the idea that she may, still be doing okay on her own, or she'll be found and it'll all kind of just come together in a happy ending. That's difficult for us from our perspective to see in the future. We don't see it that way.
Mike, it's not just being cynical. It's being realistic from a police perspective. We've seen this. We've seen bad endings to things like this. So I'm not going to put a smiley face on something that doesn't deserve a smiley face. I'm going to deal and I'm going to tell you the truth. Poppy Love from the chat. What about her dad unaliving himself? Do you know any more about him? Seems like he'd be looking for his daughter, trying to help find her, being so distraught so early on he'd give up hope yet. Poppy Love, we don't know a great deal about the father, but it was reported that they were estranged, but yet clearly he loved his daughter. He came right to California and was leading the search for her. So I don't know about his mental health issues. Obviously, he took his own life. He jumped off a high structure. What a horrible way to take one's own life. Just absolutely, absolutely crazy, and we sympathize so much with this family that is going through unimaginable pain, distraught. The family clearly loves Hannah, and it's a horrible situation. But as I said, having worked these cases throughout my police career, I can't afford to be optimistic. You don't get optimistic till you recover the person. and the person's okay. All right. Till then, you're on edge. You have that butterfly feeling in your stomach. You're nervous till you find that person and that person's alive. Mike.
Yeah, Billy, you always hope for the best, but you got to prepare for the worst. And I think at this point, the family, they're preparing themselves for the worst, while they try to stay optimistic. But the police, I'm sure, are talking to them like, you and I speak very candidly, not kind of gilding the lily at all, just basically telling them what they think and trying to figure out, with the help of the family, any little bit of information that they can, any kind of contacts that she may have previously had in LA, going over every single piece of video, surveillance video from around the area, around the arena where the Lakers play. It's a lot of work, but I think the police are probably talking to them the same way, saying, look, you can keep your fingers crossed. We're doing the best we can, but you have to prepare yourself, because look what they've been through already. She's missing. She's been missing for 2 weeks now. Her father is now passed away. And, he was going to be the contact. And for like 2 weeks, he was the contact. And this is what happened. But we hope, you hope for the best, but you prepare for the worst first.
Sarah Adams from the chat, no proof of drug use. Well, Sarah, to me, the proof is that the family saw her on video and they said she didn't look well. That's usually proof that A, she's been either sleeping outside or not getting any sleep, and potentially alcohol or drug abuse. And that is just a part of this reality. So if you want proof, I think that's proof. And again, the family is tight-lipped about a lot of things in this case because they were told to do so by the LA police. But we want to see photos of the people that she was with be released into social media. And that, I believe, will help find her. I really do believe that. Sarah Adams, they have cameras running 24/7 on Skid Row. As you guys said, some people said in the chat, if she wants to get a meal for free, Skid Row. But Skid Row is one of the most dangerous places in LA. So I hope she's not on Skid Row, a dangerous place. And why are people there? Because of alcohol and drug abuse. Is she going to count herself as one among them? I hope not. I absolutely 100% hope not. And obviously, the police know this, and they've been there. They've searched for her there. So that's all the only information we have right now. But as we said, London Bobby, I don't know if I want to, ex-boyfriend involved in some migrant marriage activity. Hannah found out he was married to a migrant for dollars. Well, London Bobby, I don't know if that's in fact true, so I'm not going to put that out there as the truth. Someone was communicating with her before she even left, and that's why she stayed there. The fact Jonathan Taylor was the recipient of these Venmo funds, and he looks very sketchy. Kathy K, you know something? That all could be, and again, the police have that information, and they're acting upon it. They're doing an investigation of it, and they're checking addresses, locations, family members of this person to see if they can find Hannah that way. Jacqueline Ha, good to see you. Ha, Bill, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Again, folks, this is Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. And if you're not subscribed, just hit that subscribe button on the screen. It's that red button, and it's that easy to join us. I'm going to play a little bit of Brian Enton. He seems like a voice of some of these newscasters.
Hannah Kobayashi, a 30-year-old woman from Hawaii who went missing 15 days ago on her way to visiting her aunt in New York. Here's what we know. It was on Friday, November 8th. Hannah flew from Maui to Los Angeles and missed her connecting flight to New York. Saturday, November 9th, Hannah was seen at the Grove Shopping Mall. It's a popular mall in downtown LA, where she went to a bookstore to charge her phone. Sunday, November 10th, Hannah went back.
Yeah, we lost the feed for some reason. Let me take it off the screen. So he's going over the time frame of why of what happened to Hannah, and we've heard the time frame before, but it's very disturbing as to what occurred here, because we don't know. Again, there's some periods of time that we have no idea what happened to Hannah. Where is she now? And the only thing we have are those records from earlier on in this investigation. But now, as far as the police are concerned, she's disappeared. She's disappeared from their perspective. They have no idea, no reports. But that's why boots on the ground, 24/7 canvassing, getting out there, doing what police do, shaking the tree, going on to Skid Row, showing her picture, talking to people, making arrests. That's what's going to find Hannah Kobayashi. Mike.
Yeah, Bill. I was just looking at the chat. Someone in the chat suggested that, if she really wanted to be found, she would contact the police. She would call 911. She'd go, flag down a police car. That may be true. That's something that, the police are aware of, that, it could be as weird as this all is. She may have had pre-existing relationships through the internet, through the cell phone, through the laptop. Maybe she did establish some sort of pre-existing relationship with someone in LA. She decided not to go on and be uncomfortable in New York, maybe with her boyfriend. There was talk of maybe possibly looking for a job or getting a job in New York. I think that seems to be kind of far-fetched. So that's why I think that maybe at some point she decided, oh, well, I have some friends in LA. It doesn't seem very logical, but I think you're right. If she wanted to be found, she wanted help within those first 72 hours, she seemed free enough, because she's gone around on video. She could have, turned herself into the police, contacted family members, but she really didn't seem to do that. And so that makes me really wonder. There's a little bit of me that says maybe it is really not as nefarious as we think it is that maybe she actually is part of some sort of group. Some people have said cult, but a part of a group of friends or acquaintances where she doesn't have any other thing to do. Maybe being in Hawaii, she wants to get off the big island, Maui. She wants to get off Maui and come to LA and experience it. Maybe she's gotten in over her head. We don't know. That's the worst part, is the family doesn't know, because there's no communication with her, any further communication, which makes me, very suspicious that if she did not want to be found, she could have easily just text the family and say, look, I'm doing fine. I'll contact you in a couple of months. I'm doing great. But yeah, the idea that she hasn't gone to the police, it's either A, clear explanation, she doesn't really want to be found, or B, she can't get to the police at this point, that within 72 hours, she was disabled in some way, and that she has no resources to get out of where she's at right now. Either way, it's not good.
Mike, so simple what you just said, but so true. If she wanted to be found, she would be. And obviously, at this point, she does not wish to be found. She doesn't want to be found, because she could just simply call the police or get to the police or flag down a police car, Sharita Coleman, boyfriend not a suspect, fine, but to not drill him on the last conversation before they split in airport is lame as AF. Sharita, who said that he wasn't interviewed? He was interviewed in depth, in great detail, and the police cleared him as not a suspect, and he's fully cooperating. All this soft, sweet conversation trying to not paint a bad picture is a sad time. I've not done that. I'm the first one that suggested, and I'm not trying to be like I'm first. That's what the TV stations say. But we're the first ones to suggest this smells of alcohol, drugs, or mental illness involvement. We're the first to say that. Everyone else is sort of painting this picture of this little sweet thing and she was human trafficked. There's no evidence of that. There's evidence that she met someone perhaps that did scam her. I know 710. I think she got scammed by some fake hippie con artist in LA and probably did drugs with them, which could have led to crazier stuff. I live Orange County, California. and see a lot of these fake hippie con artists. I know 710. You're 100% correct. Every transit hub, no matter what city is in, there are predators around these transit hubs, whether it be an airport, a bus station, a train station. These people prey upon people that are traveling because they're not in their own element and they're not sure of themselves. They don't know the surroundings. They don't know the people there. So yeah, all of these things are true. Be more. She could have dropped a drug and a drink at the airport. Look, a million things could have happened to her, and any possibilities or accumulation or multiple things could have happened to her. So we could speculate, but based on what we're seeing here, we're seeing a huge potential that alcohol or drugs were involved in this. Carol Grayston in the chat, thank you so much for the £5 super sticker. 700 in live chat, but only 250 thumbs up. Come on, guys. Press those thumbs up. Guys, get the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up. Recommend us to your friends and family. Hit that like button. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to beg you to do it, but if you could do it, it would help us. Tyson Esch, I live in Maui. She probably grew up sheltered in Hawaii and got to the mainland and seen the bigotry she was raised in and had a spiritual awakening. That's what people on this chat are a little concerned with, the word spiritual awakening. Denise from the chat, I wonder if she just didn't realize how untrustworthy people are. Had she been to LA before?
Good question.
I don't know if she has or has not. Vesper, so scary for a female on her own. Terrifying, really. Leo, most insulting thing that you could have said. Please don't ever come here with that crap. I don't know what you're referring to, Leo. Let's see. Pippi Longstocking. I've heard from local friends of mine that Hannah is with a cult and they are responsible for her father's death also, allegedly. There's no way her dad would do this to himself per his friends and family. Okay, I mean, we don't know that for sure. Layla from the chat, an airline will tag your luggage straight to your final destination. I guess if you were insistent, they would pull them as bags, have to match passengers, but most likely she only sent them to LAX. Well, you're right, because she took a connecting flight from Maui to LAX. What did happen to her luggage? Did she send her luggage inadvertently to New York? Did she pick her luggage up and make an indication she did not want to make the connection? All of these are questions that we have that we don't know the answers to right now. You don't know the answer to that, Mike, do you?
No, Billy, but it's concerning because we saw on the pictures that we've seen on the surveillance that she seems to be wearing the exact same clothes for at least 72 hours straight. That's concerning, which for me tends to show that she didn't have her luggage with her, that her luggage was tagged, given the red tag and sent from LAX onto the connecting flight to New York, like everyone else did, like everyone else does when you're taking a connecting flight. So she may have, that's why I'm thinking this idea that her decision not to go to New York was made on the fly, and it was a very poor decision. And I think she's in danger. I absolutely think she's in danger. You think she's in danger. Objectively, this comes from suspicion, some small things that we see, and we call it, from the police perspective. But I can understand a lot of people like, well, there is nothing objective showing that she's actually in danger. But all those little things that seem to have happened to me indicate that, she may have thought she was going to go to New York, changed her mind at the last minute, and then she just gets off, basically just jumps off the bus in LA and she takes a lark. And now she's put herself, unfortunately, in a position where she seems to have no resources, no clothing, and she's with some people who the family doesn't know, and nobody seems to know who they are. And that is very concerning for, speaking as a father or speaking as a police officer, that is very concerning.
Absolutely. Flower Girl, realistic from a real life police perspective. Life is not Leave It to Beaver. Flower Girl, thank you for that comment. Some people think it is. And when you give them the reality of bad things in life, some of them, oh my God, this is Leave It to Beaver, and it's not. there are bad people out there, and we are afraid that Hannah has met some of these bad people. Jelly Plain, do we know if she has used a credit card after the disappearance? Well, we know that she used a credit card to send two Venmos. But then again, your credit card's already lodged in your phone, right? You don't have to produce your credit card. It's in your phone. And now what we know that her phone is inactive. So good question, though. Blue Lazaro, I don't see her found on her own in that area. You don't on your own as a newbie. No, you know something, in any city, if you're not from there, you stick out as not being from there. And guess who notices that first? The bad element in that city, the bad guys, the bad girls in that city. They notice that. They pick you out. Oh, there's a newbie. There's a new jack. Oh, there's a tourist. Let's rip that person off. Because right away, they're intimidated just from being outside of their element. And the bad people in these areas, they read that. Just like the police can spot bad guys, the bad guys can spot good guys that they can victimize. Mike.
Yeah, these so many criminals, as you've experienced yourself, watching the people they're going to rip off. It's like the hunters and the hunted in some sort of National Geographic special. That's human behavior, and unfortunately, if she's put herself in a position, she gets off out of LA airport, which is actually safer than being in LA because you're in the airport. All you just have to walk to a different terminal. If you miss your flight, you get on the next one. Like you say, it might be 8 hours, might be 12 hours, whatever it happens to be, you're going to be at least safe enough there. You leave that little nest of safety and you go out on the street and you just seem to be wandering around, and there's no one escorting you. You're by yourself. You're going from place to place, just wandering around. People will pick up on that. That's human behavior that shows, what your mindset is as a tourist. People always joke around in New York City. You can tell the tourists because they're always looking up, looking up to like the Empire State Building, things like that. New Yorkers just look straight ahead. But that is a reality, and they pick up on that. They're watching. That's what they do. They're hunters. So we hope she hasn't become a victim, prey to those hunters. But at this point, you actually have to consider that that's a really distinct possibility, is that within a day or 24 hours, she was in an area enough where she was spotted. She became obvious that she was not from there. She was someone who has just come into that area, and she attracted the attention of someone. And so, unfortunately, that's what her condition is at this point.
100%. So this on the screen, they're looking into her wire transfers from her phone. One payment was to a woman named Veronica Almendarez, and the second went to Jonathan Taylor.
She said that she was scared. She texted her that she was scared and that she couldn't come back home or something. It was just really weird text, and it's weird to me because it doesn't sound like her.
So the text didn't sound like her, and she also always sent emojis with the text. Now, her phone has been off since November 11th. And of course, we know that her dad, Brian Kobayashi, committed suicide. Just horrible. I mean, this is a horrible case. And just those little tidbits of information, the police have had that for a while. And I would venture to say the police at this point have the contents of her cell phone. It's been 2 weeks. They should have that. So that will, of course, help them in their investigation, but they still have to find her. And that, again, with her phone off, it doesn't give them a location. And they have the location where the phone last was, apparently, but they don't know now in real time. So, again, we have to think that she's among bad people, because other than that, this case doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense that she just disappeared on her way to New York. And then her actions, again, don't make much sense at all. SD from the chat, the circumstances surrounding why she was coming to New York City is clouded. Some accounts say she was visiting an aunt, another she was fulfilling a bucket list, another was she had a photography job. SD, I agree. They're all over the map with that. They can't really give enough answers. And I think sometimes, when you interview families in regards to things like this, they don't always tell you the truth. Sometimes you really have to interview them face to face in a aggressive way to get the truth, because they're withholding information that may be painful to them. And who's going to be interviewing the family here? Who do you think? Of course, the Hawaiian police. So did they have as much pressure on them to find Hannah as the LA police? No, because they're in Hawaii, but the LA police got the pressure, but they're not interviewing the family face to face, because you want to interview complainants face to face. It's not the same on the phone. You want to see their body language. You want to see their facial expressions when you interview them. So I would venture to say that the Hawaiian police are the ones interviewing the family. And are they getting all of the truth from the family? I don't know. Mike?
Yeah, Billy, you're right. And, we've done this before many times. You interview complainants, and it could be crime victims. It could be, it could be over any sort of police interaction, but you'll get a certain set of answers. Someone else starts talking to the person an hour later in a slightly different context. You'll get a different answer. You ask a question 3 different ways during an interview, space the question out over the course of a number of other questions, and you'll get different answers to the almost identical question. So yeah, sometimes people tell you up front only what they want you to know, but they don't want to tell you a lot of other things that you actually need to know. So when you press them on it, they start backtracking and adding things. And body language is so important. We've talked about this before. Talking to someone on the phone where all it is a voice. Seeing them, seeing if they're uncomfortable, seeing how they act, where their eyes move. Are they making eye contact? All of that is important, because the police have an obligation at this point to ask a lot of tough questions about Hannah and her past. What has she done in the past? Has she ever done a runaway kind of thing in the past with a former boyfriend or anything like that, that may indicate that she's maybe doesn't have the most mature, stable, relationship with people. Has she ever, done that sort of thing? And people may not want to ever say that, because if it has happened, they don't want to say it because they don't want to make Hannah look bad or have the police jump to conclusions about what happened in this case. So they're going to try to protect Hannah. But in trying to protect her and trying to protect their family, they may actually not answer questions in a way that would actually help the police. So we can only hope that they've done a really thorough job in Maui. If she has a laptop, they've gotten all that information off there. And hopefully within 2 weeks now, they've got it and they could figure out. And I think she had some pre-existing relationships in LA, and she decided that's more important to me right now. I think if she really was safe and sound, she would have told her family, don't worry about me. I'm just hanging out with buddies and friends in LA. But that hasn't occurred. So I think she's in danger. You and I think she's in real danger. She's in over her head.
100%. Let me see if I can get Brian Enton to play now. I had a little problem with it before. Here we go.
On her way to visiting her aunt in New York.
No, I'm having a problem with this. It's not going to play. So, let me see.
It's a popular mall in downtown LA where she went to a bookstore to charge her phone. Sunday, November 10th, Hannah went back to the Grove and was seen in the background of a video attending a LeBron James event. Then on Monday, The 11th, Hannah went back to the airport. At some point, she sent some very concerning texts. She was saying that she was scared and had been tricked, quote, into giving away all my funds for someone I thought I loved. That same night, Hannah was reportedly seen leaving the airport with an unidentified person. But later that night, surveillance video, which has not been released, shows Hannah at a train station, also with an unidentified person. I spoke to Hannah's aunt a few days ago about the video. Take a listen.
There's no reason that Hannah would go there unless she was misled, unless she was forced to, or unfortunately now we're thinking unless she was drugged. It made us extremely alarmed to the point where we started sounding the alarm as loud as we could.
What, after seeing the video, you mean?
Yes.
It's already such a sad situation, and now there's another twist to the story. Hannah's father, Ryan, who had gone to LA to search for his daughter, has taken his life. He was actually supposed to be on with me too and was feeling emotional, and now we find out that he has committed suicide. And now here to help us make some sense of all of this is former FBI agent, News Nation law and justice contributor Jennifer Coffendorfer, and Dog, the bounty hunter, who actually knows Hannah. It's good to see both of you. Jennifer, I want to start with you. You heard the aunt. She told me that they were disturbed by the surveillance video. The police showed the family surveillance video, but they haven't made the video public. But she didn't want to go into detail. She didn't want to interfere with the investigation. What do you think is going on here? What do you think that video might show?
Well, when you look at that timeline, there was always communication with the family. Her phone was always working. She actually took special steps to charge it to make sure it was working. But then on the 11th, the same time she's seen with this individual who's a stranger, and after some very cryptic messages came in, even mentioning deep state hackers, all of a sudden she's missing. I think that piece of surveillance is critical, and I think she could be in the hands of a stranger taking advantage of her and the situation.
And Dog, you actually knew Hannah, which I kind of wondered about because you're from Hawaii. Hannah's from Hawaii. I know you've got a lot of connections there. What do you know about her?
Well, it wasn't me actually that knew. It was my daughter Cecily, and Hannah had spent the night 3 or 4 times with us in Oahu, in Honolulu, and then Hannah, moved on to Maui. But I agree with Jennifer 100%. We used to teach our real children there. We used to say stranger danger, and now it's getting into Hannah's 31 years old. All women beware. There are things happening, especially in California. There are things happening that are unbelievable, and I think she was snatched. And one thing about it, I hope to God that she's still alive.
Yeah, I mean, we all do. Jennifer, just thinking, the police haven't really said much. Dog says maybe she was snatched. You would think if that was the case, there would be press conferences, there would be flyers everywhere. They would be out every day saying, this is the description of who we think took her. We're not hearing much from police, Jennifer.
Well, the reason we're not hearing from them is because there is going to be video surveillance all over that airport, all over that subway station, all over these venues where she's been. So they're pouring all over that. Oftentimes when you see law enforcement reach out, it's because they don't have any more clues to go with. Law enforcement has a lot they're working with right now.
What do you make, Dog, some of the text messages that the family has said they received where she wrote, got tricked into pretty much giving away all my funds, deep hackers wiped my identity, stole all my funds, and have had me on a mind F since Friday? Do you think was drugged in that? I mean, why would she be is it her sending it, do you think?
Well, Cecily, my daughter, who knew her very good, there was no way. She might have smoked, in Hawaii, weed is called pakalolo. She might have smoked some pakalolo as she got older, but she was very, very against drugs. And the text messages, Cecily said it doesn't sound like her. And it sounds like, I know a lot of ladies that join these dating places and then send money to the guy, and then he's not real. So I don't think that it was that. I think the text messages was not Hannah.
What do you make of the text, Jen?
Well, I agree. And I agree because of this. The family says they know her vernacular. Remember, in cases like Anna Knezevich, or of course, Gabby Petito, where the family pointed out straight away, listen, this does not sound like anything that she would write. And that's what the family is saying here. It's not going with how she texts or her vernacular.
And what do you make, Jennifer? I mean, it's so tragic. I couldn't really believe it, but that the dad went to LA to help find her and then took his own life. I mean, how do you process that?
Well, he searched for 13 days, long and hard. And I can't imagine the grief that would overcome a father in this way. And so it seems to me that the motive would have been very clear, at least from his eyes, absolute despair and frustration. And you add on to that, Brian, and the family pointed this out. People not believing the family, people in social media actually going after the family, poo-pooing what they had to say, saying, oh, she's really not missing. She's just on some sort of venture or something like that. It was awful. And the family said, please don't talk like this. We're at a very vulnerable state. And then look what happened.
Do you think they're going to find her, dog? I mean, how do you think this is going to play out?
Well, I think they are going to find her. We have a new administration coming in, and there's going to be a lot of police officers, defunding the police, especially in California. I'm doing a thing later this week where I'm talking to the cops, and don't worry, things are going to get better. They don't even want to pull over traffic tickets, because if they put the guy in jail, they're out in 15 minutes. So the police officers' morale is very low. Again, after the new administration takes over, it's gonna, I think, yes, we're gonna find her. They're gonna find her alive.
Hey, thanks for watching.
So, I mean, there was a lot of conjecture there. Nothing really new, but is she in danger? We all agree she is. We all agree she's in danger, and they need to find her as soon as possible. Will they find her? I think they will find her. Hopefully they find her alive. She's alive and they can return her back to Hawaii. But a lot of this, in my humble opinion, I think is her own free will got her into trouble. I think she got herself into trouble. Now, many people are going to try to get her out of trouble. The trouble that she apparently got herself in. Maybe she was too trusting to some people, but a lot about this whole story makes no sense. Missing the flight, leaving the airport, then coming back to the airport, these Venmos, being seen walking around the city. It makes no sense from someone that is using their own free will, or again, she met some bad people, and there's a million possibilities here. So we can't all just predict. You just have to trust the investigative process and trust that the LAPD, in conjunction with the Hawaii police, are going to work on this case as hard as possible and bring a positive conclusion to this. Find Hannah and find her alive, and something positive for this family that has gone through hell. Mike.
Yeah, Billy, she, like any other person, man or woman, young or old, is vulnerable when they're totally out of their element and they have limited resources. And so that's what she was when she left LA airport. And she was on her own, no supports around her, in a strange area. Probably, just like you say, just a little resources, her debit card or credit card, that sort of thing. And she voluntarily did that. Now, beyond that, all of her choices from the time she left, from the time she just pretty much deliberately missed her flight to New York, have all been, her free will, but they've all been very ill-advised and don't seem to make a lot of sense and don't seem to be the actions of a person who's really knows what they're doing. And so therefore she's vulnerable, and we can only keep our fingers crossed that this ends well with her being found. But time is of the essence, and every day that she's missing, every day that there's no report of her trying to make contact with the police, that sort of thing, is a very sad sign. So we keep our fingers crossed, hope for the best, but we have to prepare ourselves for the worst.
100%. Stacy M., thank you so much for the $4.99 super sticker. Much appreciated. Be more. When was the last time dogs solved a disappearance or crime? What laurels? I don't know if I really want to comment upon that, but they brought him in here for some reason. Many of the news stations, for whatever reason, bring him in as a missing person expert. Elise Fairbanks, Maui isn't all sweet and innocent. I love it there, but there's also a dark criminal and drug side. Not that Hannah had anything to do with anything like that, of course. Sarah Adams, suicide doesn't make you weak. That's insensitive to say. We're all devastated by the fact that the father committed suicide. That's horrible. And the fact that the family is dealing with a dual tragedy right now, the death of Ryan Kobayashi and, of course, Hannah Kobayashi being missing, which was what was the whole catalyst behind this. Beverly Lawyer, that's a fact. California police don't arrest. I don't want to get into the politics of policing. Let's just hope the police work really hard on this case, which I'm sure they're going to, and they bring this to a positive conclusion. Brooklyn Pasola, someone could have promised her a spiritual awakening with stuff like DMT or ayahuasca, but unfortunately everything in the area is laced with fent. Let's hope that there are no drugs involved in this, but it's looking that way. Granny's watching. Perhaps she doesn't want to be found. Granny, great point. That's an excellent point, that she may not want to be found. You're right. Let's wait until someone police decide to do their job. The police know this trafficker. I don't know about that. Heather, whatever, nothing changed, but something has. Folks, again, if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. This is the last time I'm going to ask you. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, give us a thumbs up, share us with your friends and your family. My thoughts on this case is this is a horrible, tragic case, but I think there's a lot of things investigatively that we don't know. I'm confident that Hannah will be found. I don't know what condition she's going to be found in. And that's tragic. We will stay with this case as new information comes in. And again, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Also, wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, since this is Thanksgiving Day. And we're bringing you this somewhat horrible case, but yet there's hope. There's always going to be hope. Mike, your final thoughts.
We should just be thankful for our family, whatever family we have, and to support our family. This is the season to, remember your family and to be thankful and to share a meal and spend some time with your family and get away from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. And we should also pray for Hannah's family, because they're going through so much misery at this point with the double tragedy of Hannah missing and her father, Ryan, being deceased. So just pray for that family who has so much going against them right now.
Yeah, and something. Look, we try to give you our perspective again from a police perspective. Sirius V, Kim Robinson, they have two GoFundMe account. One is to fund the search to find Hannah, and others for the auntie to fund herself with hotel and off work time to lead the search for Hannah. So I'm sure you could find those GoFundMes on Facebook or Instagram. Just search Hannah Kobayashi and you'll find the GoFundMe. This is, again, a tragic case, and unfortunately it's coming to fruition right around or right on the Thanksgiving holidays. And we hope and pray that Hannah Kobayashi will be found. Folks, I want to thank everyone for tuning in today on this Thanksgiving. We want to thank everyone. Hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving. Have a great day, everyone. And prayers for Hana Kobayashi. God bless everyone. Have a great day.
One episode just ain't enough.